Welcome to the Tansson Talks show. I'm Brandon, the host of the show, and I always love doing this. This is the 129th episode of the show, and I'm very excited to welcome my guest here today, Charlie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you. So first of all, how's your day going thus far?
We just had a torrential downpour for 20 minutes here in Vegas, and I wish I could have gone for a run in it because I just love when we have crazy thunderstorms down here.
Well, I'm sorry that you didn't, let's say, get that opportunity, but hopefully you'll have a chance to do that at the next one.
Yes, obvious. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I am glad that, the day's starting off well. And Charlie, if you can do us the grand honor of introducing yourself for the watching and listening audience for us to get started.
Yes. Hi, I am Charlie Sackmar. I am a recent graduate from the University of Nevada, Reno. I was the treasurer of my university's PR SSA chapter. I participated in the 2025 Bateman case study competition team for my university. And now I've just been out looking for work and, just trying to do my best in the wild times we live in currently.
Well, isn't that the best that we wish for anyone?
Yes, obviously.
Well, I'm so excited, like I said, that we're able to speak. And I know before our discussion, we've been having a really enjoyable conversation. I'm excited to continue with this in our discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I did want to actually, first off, congratulate you on graduating. And how was the experience knowing that you were finally done? Like, how was your college experience as a whole?
I maybe saved the most important things that I should have been doing for college until the very last chances that I had to do them. I'm going to give a small recommendation to anyone who is still doing public relations in college right now. Do an internship before your last year. If your university does the Bateman case study competition, do that before your last year. Because getting a lot of professional experience is tremendously helpful. And everyone else that I graduated with who got more professional experience than me are already out living their best lives. And you could be that person too. So do your best.
Well, hey, at least you were able to do some stuff in the end.
Yes. And I'm very thankful for those opportunities. I'm immensely grateful that I had such fantastic mentors who were willing to, show me the way and allow me to grow into the professional that I am today.
I love that. And so, going back a little bit to start from the very beginning. So I know as a whole that, like I said, that you just finished, like I said, your college journey. You have a lot of, let's say, free time on your hands at the moment. And so overall, how is your day-to-day looking right now?
How is my day looking? I was thinking about studying for my CPPR later today. I have to hopefully get that test done by November. And I know that this episode is maybe planning on airing around... Hello, Dad. I know that this episode is probably going to air around November. So, future Charlie, if you're watching this and you haven't taken the test yet, do so. You stop putting it off. I really need to study for that thing.
So for anyone that doesn't know that may be tuning in, how would you best explain the CPBR?
I genuinely don't know. All I know is that I was told by a lot of my mentors in college that it is a very good thing to have and put on your resume. I know it stands for the Certificate in the Practice of Public Relations. So I think it might show that you're certified to be working in the field, that you've known the history of it, that you're qualified enough to perform the duties that people are going to employ you to do. If I am getting that wrong, then apologies. That is my best guess for why it is important.
Well, all good there. And so, have you always been interested in the public relations field or communication as a whole?
So when I started out in college, I initially went in wanting to get a degree in mechanical engineering because I wanted to work for a roller coaster manufacturing company like Rocky Mountain Construction or Intamin if I decided to learn Swiss. But uh, that didn't end up working so well because I reached the civil engineering courses um, that had just the worst math I've ever done in my life. And I also started my college career in the fall of 2020 when everything was online and nobody really cared. So everyone was passing on grade curves. So I wasn't really learning anything either. And eventually I realized that after 2 years of doing that, I kind of realized that if I continued to go down that path, I was never going to graduate ever. I needed to move into something that I was actually decently good at. I figured that I got pretty good grades when I was doing English classes back in high school. I really like doing creative writing, so I joined my university's journalism school. And for those who are unfamiliar with the University of Nevada, Reno's journalism school, uh, journalism is just an umbrella term that they use for anything media related. So you could go in there and become a script writer for TVs. You could do photography. You could do video editing, graphic design, etc. And I just happened to fall into public relations because one of my mentors, the late great Todd Feltz, rest in peace, um, stopped in the middle of the hallway one day while I was just sitting at the unit at the college and said, "Hey, have you picked out an emphasis yet?" And I said, "No." And he's like, "You should do public relations. I think you'd be really good at that." And then he left. And finally, after leaving mechanical engineering and not knowing what I needed to do anymore, just feeling lost and tired and sad, that was the first push that I had gotten into, someone telling me that they think I would be valuable in a field. And that meant the world to me at the time.
Well, first of all, I did want to say I'm glad that you were able to, I mean, to have a mentor, have people help guide you, and and help be able to sort of push you into a direction where you're wanted in the
Mm-hmm.
field, and that you feel comfortable while also being able to continue your your enthusiasm towards other areas.
Yes. I I am very thankful that I found an outlet where I can express that sort of enthusiasm that I have towards something like theme parks into like if I'm excited about it, now I can tell people how excited I am and that is valuable to an industry. So now I'm actively working towards working in the field of tourism PR. I especially want to do it in the amusement park industry. I've been trying to reach out and find jobs in places that have amusement parks just so I could start working there and be closer to them. Um, I know that I was looking for a few jobs in Cleveland a few days ago because wanted to go up and see Cedar Point for the first time. And if I have an excuse to go up there because I work there now in the area, then that's great. That's my new home park. I don't know if you know this about Reno and the greater Nevada area, but there are almost no theme parks here. So having this sort of hobby and passion that I have is not really useful where I come from. I remember going to the 2024 Icon conference that happened in Anaheim, right around Disneyland, and I met with so many students who were coming from places like North Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, places that have a lot of amusement park related stuff in there. And I was asking them, like, what's it like going to Carowinds? What's it like going to Busch Gardens? What's it like going to Kennywood? And then asking them, do these places offer internships to people at your colleges? And they were like, yeah, of course they do. And I'm like, why can't I have these opportunities? Sorry, I could talk about these things for hours.
No worries, and certainly, I mean, we will definitely let's dive into your interest in theme parks. Actually, why don't we go ahead and head into some of that now? So, given that, of course, you're located in Nevada, how did you get interested in in theme parks?
It started when I was really little. I grew up playing a lot of Roller Coaster Tycoon, specifically Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, on my family's home computer. And I would just do that for hours, just building little amusement parks and going like, man, I want to do this someday. I'm going to make roller coasters for a living. And then it worked out even better when I was in elementary school and I learned that engineers do that and they get paid tons of money to do it. So I was like, yes, finally, this is my in. And then I grew up, and then it turns out that a lot of people had the same idea as me because there are so many engineers now. But yeah, and then growing up, I just kept wanting to go to different theme parks that I had heard about, riding a bunch of different roller coasters. I now keep a list of every single one I've been on my phone. I rank them. I'm a fanatic at this point.
I love that.
Thank you.
Actually, out of curiosity, like, what would you say are your top ranks right now? And actually, are you able to give us a snippet of your list as to the ones that you've been to and what you'd go back to?
Oh my gosh. I will say that a few a few rides in that list are inherently very biased because of if I've only had one ride on them, but I treasure that ride fondly, it'll be way higher than it probably deserves to. I know that my current number one is Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure TM at Islands of Adventure in Orlando, because the first and only time I had rode it, it was at night in the front, so everything was being illuminated by the motorcycle headlights. I was with one of my best friends that I hadn't seen in multiple years. And I was having the time of my life that day. And that was what we ended the night on. So I treasured that ride a lot. I have no interest in Harry Potter. I don't, but like, I just loved that ride and doing it. So naturally it went up at the top. I also loved Velocicoaster in the same park. As for non-universal rides, I know that I like Twisted Colossus quite a lot, which is at Six Flags Magic Mountain in Valencia. I know that there's probably a few others that I just can't remember off the bat. I love Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm, and Hang Time also at Knott's Berry Farm. I'm sorry.
No worries at all. And one of the reasons I did want to ask too, and I did want to give shout out to them if they're watching, but I actually have a good friend of mine that's also a theme park enthusiast, and so I know that he would want me to ask those questions, and so
and that's completely fair. Yes. I do get a bit of flack for some of my picks because especially with when I was talking with a lot of other coaster enthusiasts, and I mentioned that I liked Hang Time at Knott's Berry Farm. They got on my case because it's a GP magnet, which just means it's a ride that's meant to attract people who are in the general public and therefore aren't real theme park enthusiasts. It's like, oh, you like that ride? Were you a casual? It's the being a gamer who only likes mobile games of the theme park world. But I'm not sorry. I rode that 7 times with my brother, and you'll pry my love from it from my cold, dead hands.
Well, I think that, I mean, with anything, that you have to enjoy, the moments that you have, and, and cherish the memories attached to them, and that sometimes, I don't think you can really explain why you like something. You just do.
Yeah. A lot of theme parks, I think, get their appeal by being like beloved family icons. I know that the Disney Corporation has been building on that for years, with the Disney parks being something that you have to take your kids to before they're too old to experience the magic. So it incentivizes you to go as early as you can so that you can create memories that last forever. It's in almost all of their promotional material. So that sort of thing is like ever present in the theme park marketing space, and being able to recognize that and work with it, I think would be able to help me a lot if I were to get hired in it. Hasn't happened yet because I live in Nevada, but hopefully we'll get there.
Well, I certainly do hope that that you get there, and I will say that over the years that I've just grown a great appreciation to not just theme parks, but also being able to explore entertainment in a
Mm-hmm.
whole different light. And I think it's so. I mean, not to be a pun from how you're just mentioning Disney, but I think it really is kind of magical when you think about it, and
Mm-hmm.
that sure, these might be giant pieces of metal and some crew members and cast members, but I mean, there's something really is magical about being able to have these types of experiences that
Mm-hmm.
that really stick with you.
Yes. I I have a lot of places on my bucket list that have stuck out to me because of how uh, unique they are in the grand scope of things. One of my top places that I want to visit is Alton Towers in Staffordshire, UK. Um, this place, if you haven't heard about it, is dictated by a lot of local laws. They don't want to see roller coasters like ruining the sight lines of Staffordshire. So, how they got around that is they built a lot of their rides, instead of being tall, they go into the earth. So a lot of them are built into like pits, or they intertwine with the landscape. They have to be under a certain amount of height so they don't go above the trees. And because of that, it's a very it's a very uniquely designed place. It has a lot of cultural love in the UK because they have to get creative with the design. They also get creative with their marketing. Uh, they use the Hall of the Mountain King motif in a lot of their marketing material. They call all of their new rides like Project 8 or Project 9, etc., going on for every ride that they make. It is so like unique to look at and know that these are places that form deep bonds with the community, and they rely on that community to keep themselves in business and also to bring in people from farther away who want to see that community for itself. And being able to work on a closer scale with that sort of community is something that I deeply desire to do. Uh, when I was doing my internship for the Reno Riverwalk District, I got a taste for working with a community who understandably loves the area. They want to be a part of it. They want to participate in events that explore it. It's working closely with a city that loves itself and being able to share in that love with everyone. And if I had the choice, I would want to do that forever.
I love that.
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, I really do. I mean, love your sentiment with that, and even the the desire to want to be able to be a part of that community to help out with it. I think
Mm-hmm.
is just. I mean, I think it really is important, especially for this type of industry. And out of curiosity, where would you say is the furthest that you have gone, for a theme park? And then when you are able to visit these theme parks out of the state, do you typically travel for the theme park, or are you just happen to be in the area and visit the theme park, or a little mixture of both?
I would say it's a little bit of both. There have been times when we've gone on trips to do other things, but while we're in the area, we'll go to a theme park. I think the best case of that is my parents have a friend who works in New York. So while we were visiting out to go see him, we also decided to check out Luna Park / Coney Island while we were there. I think that's geographically the farthest that I've had to travel to go to the farthest I've traveled going to a theme park. Not like with the express purpose of going there, but just because it's the farthest distance away from Las Vegas. Um, but then while we were also up there, we decided to travel a bit south and go to Hershey, Pennsylvania to go to Hershey Park because we were also in the area. Um, and then we've had trips. We just had a recent trip for my graduation, uh, which I will partially blame for why I'm unemployed. We went to a road trip from Indiana to um, Pittsburgh, where we visited Holiday World, um, Kings, Kings Island, and Mason. We went to Kennywood in outside of Pittsburgh. I know we went to the Columbus Zoo, which has a few roller coasters in it. That was more of like a big celebratory trip for me because my family knows I love theme parks. And if you're curious why I'm blaming that as part of the reason why I might be unemployed, it's because I didn't want to message any potential employers and get a job and then immediately tell them, oh, hey, by the way, I'm about to leave town and go on a week and a half long trip. So I hope you're cool with that, because that just seemed really like mean. I don't know. But I think because I waited so long to start looking for places, every available spot filled out. So that's another tip I have for recent graduates. Get in early. Don't wait.
If it makes you feel any better at all. So for me, my birthday is in the beginning of August, and so I did not really want to to do anything career-wise between graduating in May 2024 and my birthday. That was honestly my big goal. And it's not for the sake of that I want all this rest and relaxation, but more so that I had been in school since I was 2. And for me, I'm also very much a planner. And as soon as I get something in my head, I'm going to start planning it to every detail. And so I wanted some time to just not do that. And so it was amazing, to have that time. Although I ended up being very busy during it, ironically. But coincidentally enough, I ended up getting my, I guess, first job after graduation, so to speak. Coincidentally, the day after my birthday, with the document signed on my birthday, which I thought was fitting, hilarious, and shocking because I didn't actually apply.
Oh, gotcha. How did you end up getting it then?
So for that was actually my job where I teach now at the university level. And so I had taught a little bit while in my master's program, but I had really wanted to continue on. I just wanted some more information first. I didn't get any additional information. And so, I had to provide some stuff just for documentation purposes. And then I was thinking, oh, okay, well, I guess that's that. I didn't hear anything. And then I was coming back from work, doing one of my other side jobs. And I got an email from the university. I was like, okay, I don't know what this is about. And it's like, welcome, here's your rank and status and the day you begin. It's like, oh, okay, awesome.
I wish finding a job was easy enough that I could do it by accident.
Well, nevertheless, I'm still looking for full-time employment, but nevertheless, I'm glad at least I get to do something to occupy my time, and I do love it.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta love anything that gives you an opportunity to work on yourself and get more experience.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. But I mean, going back to your story a bit, I did have a 2-part question for you. One that is dealing with the theme parks, and another to go back to hearing about your college adventure. So the first part for the theme parks is: have you had a chance to visit any of the theme parks in Virginia yet?
I think that's where Busch Gardens Williamsburg is, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I don't think I've been to Virginia, but I have been having my eye on Busch Gardens Williamsburg for a while. Poltergeist looks great. That's like one of the biggest B&M inverts I've personally seen. And it just has like a great looking color scheme. I'd love to go on it someday. But I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to go to Virginia. I'm sure that eventually I'll be able to go there. And then I can finally do everything there is to do in Virginia. But yeah, haven't been there yet. Would love to go though.
But yes, Busch Gardens Williamsburg is actually like not that far from where I am. And so growing up, I went there semi-regularly. And so I just went back, I think, for the first time in years, either this past December or the one before that. And so, it's always amazing being able to explore new places, even though I don't like heights. I don't necessarily do roller coasters, but I do like going to theme parks. And I just went to, I believe, the 50th anniversary of King's Dominion
Mm-hmm.
um, just
Oh, right.
a
King's
few months
Dominion
ago.
is there. Oh, I really have to ride Intimidator 305. Oh my gosh. That's Intimidator 305 is at King's Dominion, right? I'm not getting my facts mixed up.
I
I have
There's
to
a
do
good
it.
possibility that that it is. Like I said, I have not. I've only been there, I believe, 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know the names of the coasters quite yet.
Oh, it's called Pantherian now, apparently. Interesting.
I do remember seeing that sign.
It is in King's Dominion though. Thank God. I still have my stuff together. um, what did you have to ask about my wacky college adventure?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to know. I mean, all about like how was it overall for for your time in college? Was it enjoyable? Did you have any I guess fun misadventures or overall like how was that experience for you?
I have a very fun story that I like talking about, which is the move from mechanical engineering to the journalism school, specifically being in public relations, was extremely jarring for me because mechanical engineering was 95% male. It was a very like male dominated space. All of the classes were huge, just like auditorium level like amounts of students all taking notes on how tough iron is compared to steel. Um, and then when I moved into journalism, it did a complete 180. Uh, all the classes were pretty small and they were almost entirely female. So I became the one dude in like just the entire classes, which gave me a unique perspective of being like, wow, I'm the odd one out for the first time in my life. But I loved that personally. Uh, they were way more fun. Uh, everyone, when I was doing mechanical engineering, everyone was very like hard focused into what they wanted to do. They were all very smart types. A lot of them were going into it for the money. A lot of them wanted to do it because they had just like been told to do, like they grew up knowing that this was the future of the industry. A lot of engineers and computer science people were going to be needed to work on machinery because this is the future. Everything's run by machines, etc. And then when I moved into the more creative spaces, I figured out like this is where everyone else sort of ends up. And now I'm here too. But these are some of the best people I've worked with. A lot of them are very passionate about what they want to do, and they've sort of went against the flow of what's expected in order to do it. So a lot of them go in with a strong idea of what they want. I met people who were determined to become famous directors. I met people who really wanted to work. I met someone who really wanted to do PR for drag racing, like motor cars. I was like, that's the coolest thing I've heard in my life. These are people with set ideas. They loved what they did. And I loved being in that space with them. It made me feel like I was a real part of it. Being a dork for something is welcomed here. It's great. I loved it.
Well, I'm so glad that you were able to enjoy it. And I mean, you even see the differences, between the two different fields.
Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, shout out to all of my all the girls I graduated with. They're all doing fantastic. I know one of them is working for a law firm here in town now, and she's doing great. Good on her. I'm very happy for her. I'm happy for everyone I graduated with. They're all fantastic people.
Well, I'm so glad. I mean, that you enjoyed everyone that you were classmates with,
Yeah.
graduated with, and how. Like, actually, before I even ask about the question I was going to say, so throughout your time, I know you said you started in the midst of the pandemic. How was that for you?
Um, I would eventually. It was interesting. I I don't think I was very good at what I was doing, but I was also in. one of the wilder parts of my life because I was off on my own for the first time. And I'm just in this strange environment where no one is talking to each other, no one is going outside, like no one is having a party unless they had weird views on what was going on and they didn't care. That might be a bit too much. But I started picking up a practice like halfway through my first year. Wildfires were going through the area, and no one was going outside due to COVID. So late at night, the campus was completely deserted. And I started a practice of going out onto the streets and just dancing at night to music because no one was outside to judge me for doing it. So that was, I've looked back on those moments fondly, and I wish I could be in an environment where I could do that again. But I don't think anything like that is ever going to happen in my lifetime. But yeah, I was very lonely in my first few years. I wasn't meeting anyone besides the people in my mandatory physical involvement lab. And I'd never really kept in touch with those people because I wasn't seeing them often enough to do things. I also I graduated high school in May of 2020, so we never got to have like a senior prom. All we knew is that on the last day of school, some guy mentioned, I heard that there might be a lockdown and we might have to go in to like just stay at home because of the pandemic. And I think someone in the class offered, told us like, would you all want to take one celebratory picture together just in case this is the last time we see each other? And then we did. I probably won't share that photo just out of privacy for everyone I was in a class with, but I remember drawing a really sad stick figure on the whiteboard right before I left with like the words like, that's all folks, or like, thanks for the memories or whatever. And then we never went back to that space. I'm mad that it happened too, because I had just turned in a project that day that I really wanted back. But because the school shut down, I never was able to go back and get it. Wacky times. Fun times in 2020.
Out of curiosity, like, don't leave us in suspense. What was that project about?
It was for my honors English class. I had turned Trevor Noah's autobiography, Born a Crime, into a Seussical-style children's book. So every single chapter was filled out with like a full page of rhyming schemes that would explain what happened in them. Just the entire documentation of his life, just like spoken in Seussical rhymes, which was a little jarring because a lot of it was very, it's, being a mixed kid in South Africa, which was not looked upon very nicely. So he has a very troubled history, a lot of like violence in it, which meshes pretty like hardly against this like very innocent style of writing, this very like childlike style of writing. But I think it made for a good project because of that clash of it, especially because most of it was being told by the perspective of someone who was growing up in that sort of, difficult upbringing and everything that happens around it. But I mean, my teacher loved the way that it was written, and she was like, can I keep this so I could show it to a few of my colleagues? And I was like, sure. And then sure enough, a few days later was the last day of school.
And do you remember how you felt, like, as soon as you heard that you all weren't going back? Was there any like hope left that, okay, well, maybe we'll get something, or how even was graduation since you didn't really have a chance to see your classmates and peers?
I mean, we did have a sort of graduation that was split up into chunks by last name. And thankfully, I had one of my best friends at the time who had a nickname, who had a last name very close to mine. So we would always be right next to each other whenever we were in the same class or when we were lining up for things by alphabetized last name. So I got to see her, and I took a photo with her right before we left. I think I might also not share that photo due to her privacy. But I mean, I don't know if I was bummed that we weren't going back. I knew that it was going to maybe suck to take my AP tests like from home, especially because, you know, all of our education had a hard cutoff. Like no one was prepared for it, so no one had anything planned. That was just sort of the end. And then we just had an early summer vacation, basically. I especially feel bad for the people who had to start up school again in the fall of 2020, like I did with college, and my brother had to do with the rest of his high school career, because, I mean, a lot of that is going to be run by people who didn't really know what they were doing. They weren't accustomed to working online with the technology that they had. I know that I especially had that problem in mechanical engineering, because a lot of the professors were very old, wise types. You know, they knew a lot about their subjects, but they didn't really know how to set up like a laptop live stream. The best people who did it were the younger professors, and I usually had those for my core requirement classes that were just like the, you know, survey of jazz and whatnot. So maybe the classes that I didn't need to hear everything that was going on, because they were easy enough to do, but the most pivotal classes were the hardest ones to follow.
Wow, well, that certainly is something, and I'm glad at least that you were able to take those final pictures. You were able to get some sort of closure, even if it's not the proper closure that you all deserved, but get some sort of closure with what was before transitioning into the, I guess, what was of 2020, to say the least.
Yeah, if it's any consolation, the school got us all bricks with our names on them. So now
that's amazing.
Yeah, that's it. They just they got a brick for every senior of 2020. Nothing for the people who were in the fall of 2020. You weren't special enough for that. But we all got a little, they just put like a little, like, it feels weird, like an in memoriam style thing on the floor that you can walk on your way into school. It doesn't feel like, I don't know. To me, it doesn't feel deserved, but I can understand why they think it would be like a nice sentiment and like a nice send off. I just don't understand why the rest of the people who came after us didn't get the same treatment.
Out of curiosity, have you seen your brick?
I have seen my brick. My brother was going to that high school still, so I think I had to visit for his own graduation or for some. Oh no, I went to a reunion tech theater show that was a reunion theater show that was being done at my high school, and while I was there, I was able to see my brick. It's whatever. It's I also partially ruined that show. I missed a cue because I was too into what I was doing, and I messed up the finale a little bit by leaving a set of stairs and not allowing the curtains to close when they needed to. You know, I guess I'm still just as awkward as I used to be back in high school to some degree. It's whatever, you know. I'm more thankful for what I'm doing now, you know, with everything. I've moved past that part of my life. I think it's especially fitting that all that COVID lockdown stuff ended just as soon as I was getting sick of mechanical engineering and I was pivoting into something else. So in a way, I've sort of leaved all the past behind me and moved on to things that I think fit me a lot better. And I'm happy for that.
Well, I'm glad that it all sort of worked out timing wise, and even in that, pivot forward as we are, in the conversation. So, how was overall finishing out your, your college education? You were able to, to get involved on the public relations side, able to get involved with PRSSA. I mean, how did that all sort of line up for you within your final years?
I first got into them purely out of happenstance because my mentor at the time, Allison Galden, the best, period. I love her. Shout out to her. She basically messaged me out of the blue one day in my junior year, and said, "Hey, do you want to be the treasurer of PRSSA next year?" And I was like, "All right." So I got involved. I had no idea that it was even a thing, more or less, before that. Uh, I would highly recommend anyone who's watching this and hasn't gotten involved in PRSSA yet to do so. It is fantastic for networking, and basically every job opportunity I've gotten so far has been because of networking. It's so much easier than scouring Indeed for whatever opportunities you can find. Start networking. It will save you. But they brought me on simply because I used to be in mechanical engineering and I knew numbers. I could do math. That was my only saving grace for why I was brought on for being the treasurer. But it ended up being one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. I treasure my final year being involved in that, being able to work with a team who was very passionate about PR, help put on events, be essentially a cheerleader at club fairs, like shouting out across the quad, like you can't spell party without PR to get people to come and check out our booth. I I loved being that sort of joyful representation of being on the public relations team and being able to uh, again just share my passion for something like I've been wanting to do with theme parks. It ties itself very nicely. PR is a very joyful field to be in. It helps if you love something enough to shout it from the rooftops at people.
I love that. I'm so
Thank you.
glad that you, I mean, were able to get involved, be the, so to speak, as you said in your words, I mean, the cheerleader of what your organization was able to do. And I mean, I, I know for me, like in my involvement with PRSSA as a student, that it was one of those things where it's like, I wish I had known truly more about it sooner.
Yes, I absolutely wish I knew about it sooner. I was lucky enough that when I graduated, we were bringing in people who had already been involved in the club for a time and some who weren't even in their final years yet. They would be able to take in so many more benefits than I ever could with the time that I was given. And I am so thankful that we were able to bring in those young professionals and get them a spot in something that is truly going to change their lives. It was ecstatic to me. I loved that there was so much like passion coming from them. And if they're watching, which I know that they might be, I wish them all the best. I know that they're doing fantastic. If this does come out in November, they'll have just gone to Washington, D.C. for the Icon trip that's happening this year. I hope they were able to make the best of that, and I look forward to hearing about it. Yeah, I'm wishing them all the best. Love you guys immensely.
I love all the amazing shout outs that you've been providing, throughout our discussion. And speaking of, Icon, I know while you won't be able to attend Icon 2025, I would love to hear about your experience at Icon 2024.
Yes. Oh my God. I loved being at Icon 2024. I especially loved it because I was able to, like I mentioned earlier with the whole theme park thing, I went around and when I was introducing myself to people, I would ask them about their local parks from wherever, like universities they came from. All the Utah students, I was asking about Lagoon in Salt Lake City. Um, I met with one of your former subjects of the show, Joshua Gearhart, for the first time at Icon 2024. And the first thing I did was ask him about Hershey Park because he came from Pennsylvania. And he was able to tell me that he was way more involved with Hershey than I ever thought he would have been. So that was just a great thing to learn by happenstance. I was asking all the Carolina people about Carowinds, all the Florida people about their home parks. And I loved that there was such like a, if you come to someone and you talk to something and you talk to them about something that they love as a local, it immediately draws a new connection with them. They were like, yes, I have been there. And like, I was asking like there were so many people from Utah at Icon. I was asking them all about Primordial at Lagoon because that had just opened around that time, and I was asking them like, "Have you been on that yet?" And if you're able to immediately talk to them about that local thing, and they'll be like, "Yo, I've heard about it, but I haven't checked it out," or "I have been on it and it's been great." It gives you that opening and allows you to talk a lot more with them. Um, just having a connection with the community just allows you to share such like a more deep conversation than you would have otherwise. Like I was able to, which is why I'm so glad that you asked me if I've ever been to any of the parks in Virginia, because yeah, I have been looking at those for a while and we were able to gush about it a little bit before we moved on. It just goes to show that there's like a power in knowing a lot about an area and being able to discuss that with people. But in addition to talking with the students, I was able to meet up with a lot of professionals who come from that sort of background. I know that I was able to make connections with someone who worked at Disney for a time. I was able to talk with someone who worked at Destination Cleveland, which handles tourism for the entire city of Cleveland. I was able to talk with a lot of tourism PR professionals when they had a mini meeting in the in the like sort of pool area of the hotel, and just being able to talk with those people about their own experiences being in the field, how they got involved with it. That sort of like look into the industry was eye-opening. I loved being a part of everything that Icon had to offer. I wish that I could go there more. I wish that I had gone like years more if I had just gotten involved in PRSSA before then.
Yeah, I mean, I know for me, I absolutely love being able to attend Icon 2022, and
Mm-hmm.
it was one of those experiences that I wish that like I could have gotten a picture with all of the amazing people I met.
Mm-hmm. I do have still photos that I took from Icon of like random people that we met, because I remember during the opening banquet they had a challenge of find someone who has the same birthday month as you and take a photo with them. And I can't remember anyone's names from these photos, but it was a joy to just meet other people in those moments.
Well, I'm so glad that you were able to, like I said, to have those, yeah, those moments. And I know for myself in preparation now, as of recording, weeks away from Icon 2025, I'm so excited to, I mean, to be able to have that experience again. And if you could have an experience where you're able to revisit, Icon or attend another conference where you're able to have a similar experience, like what type of advice would you give to, to your future self or to someone who's maybe watching and thinking of attending an event like Icon?
The people who are attending Icon want nothing more in the world than to see you grow into your best self. Every single person there is coming there because they are passionate about what they want to share with you. They're coming there because they want to meet the faces that are coming into the industry. They want to meet the people who were happy and joyful enough about PR to join their school's team and come out to represent their school in spirit. Um, they are the best. They are some of the best people that you will meet in this industry because they love to see you grow and they want to help you. Um, if you know someone who's involved in an industry that you're happy about, just have a small chat with them, talk with them, bring a few copies of your resume and pass them out to people. Any sort of thing that you can do to get your foot in the door is going to help you immensely, because knowing that those opportunities are out there is fantastic. It changed my worldview legitimately. I had no idea whether the thing that I wanted to be a part in was even a real thing that was attainable. And then I met people who were doing it for a living. And I spoke with them and I told them about my passions and they connected with me. And occasionally I see updates from them talking about, the same sorts of things that I'm interested in on LinkedIn. Was able to practice my interviewing skills while I was talking with them. I was able to meet people who had the same interests as I did, and were, it was just phenomenal. Talk with everyone, make friends with anyone. Everyone there could be a new best friend if you wanted it to. Anyone there could be a new mentor if you wanted it to. And every single person there is a new resource that you can use. I hate to say people can be resources, but genuinely, networking is one of the most helpful things that you can do. And being able to know people who work in your field who are just as passionate about the things that you are passionate about will take you anywhere you want to go.
I really love, what you have to, to say, and I think it's just so true. I think about even for myself and Icon 2022 that being able to meet various people, even for some people that I just met for a few seconds. That's
Yeah.
honestly one of the reasons that I'm even able to do the show. I was able to meet a amazing person that I was able to connect with later online a few months later. They wanted to
Mm-hmm.
be on the podcast. More people wanted to be on the podcast. And here we are in mid to late 2025. And we're still able to have these conversations. And I think it's just, it's so important to be able to just sit down and chat with someone, get to know them.
Yes. Um, the one-on-one talks I had with professionals were some of the best moments that I had at Icon. I purposefully, um, and just for the record, the official events that happen, you don't always need to go to them. I actually I skipped I skipped one of the planned events that was going on. I think it was like a section of smaller talks that you could join. I skipped that in favor of going to an unofficial event for tourism PR professionals, just a small meetup of maybe 10, 12 people who are all passionate about the tourism industry. And I was able to meet with one of them and have a one-on-one conversation with them where I feel like I made a really good impression with her and I was able to chat about the kinds of things that I was passionate about. And, in a sense, that can be the one thing that gets you where you want to go. Any random person that you bump into could be the thing that leads you to your next fantastic opportunity. I knew people who were um, looking into, after I told them about my passions, they were like, oh, there's a local park near me that I could maybe try looking into to see if they have open positions, or I can look into what sorts of practices they do, and I'll let you know if I hear about anything. It's also important, I'll say, to follow up with these people. You can't just like sit around and wait to see if they remember you. It's helpful to go back and talk to them like, hey, remember me? We had this conversation. I know that you were looking into information about that could help me. Do you have any updates on that? And just being able to, um, talk with them about the sorts of things that you remind, a helpful reminder. You don't need to like come out with like a, hey, where's that stuff that you promised me? Come out with like a, with like a helpful, like, hi, I really enjoyed talking with you. I would love if we could reconnect. Do you have any other, is there another opportunity for us to sit down one-on-one and keep having the conversations? Because, talking with people and maintaining those relationships is, I think, just as important as going out to meet with them in the first place. Uh, the amount of people I think who have forgotten me just because I haven't been able to keep in touch with them is way higher than I probably think. I I really need to do a better job of reaching out to people, and I think that if I was being as proactive as I used to be, with going out to meet people, I would be in a much different position than where I am now, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I know even for, yeah, for myself in the podcast is being able to connect with people, I think is just such a, yeah, I mean, a tremendous opportunity. Before even speaking about something like, a podcast or getting connected, being professional connections, yeah, just being able to chat. But I mean, having that sort of professional relationship, relationships are two ways. You just can't ask for information, or you just can't
Mm-hmm.
assume that people remember who you are. I mean, it's weird to say that I know over 100 people, like in general, but
Yeah.
um, yeah,
I would also say it's very helpful to get a lot of their information if you do want to stay in touch with these people. In the moment, they will be, if they want to help you, they will be willing to give you information like emails, phone numbers, etc. Uh, it helps to reach out in more than one way. I know that for one person alone, I was DMing them on LinkedIn, I was sending them emails, and then eventually I resorted to sending a postcard their way. Uh,
oh,
any sort of physical mail, especially, I've been told, stands out way more than just reaching out via email because it's harder to ignore an envelope that's uh, gotten to your house or your home, or like not your house, but like your work address, than it is to ignore the hundreds of emails that come pouring into these professionals' inboxes every single day.
I find that so fascinating because I'm someone that actually is I love being able to like physically touch mail, and I never had a chance to to live in the dorms by any means necessary. But if I did, one of the goals I actually had was that from every dorm location I had is that I wanted to actually send a letter to myself at home
Mm-hmm.
with the address of wherever I was staying, so that way I could always have it. That was something I really wanted to do, and to like be pen pals with someone and actually like write it. That's something I
Mm-hmm.
had always wanted to do. So when you mentioned postcard, I quite found that fascinating, and even in terms of staying in touch, something that I would I would change if I could is when I went to Icon, I'd print out a whole bunch of business cards, which I'm so glad I did. I hand them out to so many people. The
Yes.
thing I didn't do was actually write down their names.
Yeah. Okay. I have a very funny story. When I was in Icon, I had one of the worst days of my life. When I was at Icon, I had one of the most traumatic days of my life because I had a physical. They handed out a bag to all the people who attended, and one of the things in that bag was a physical journal. And I thought, this is my Icon journal. I'm going to write down the information of every single person I meet, their names, their contact information, their LinkedIn handles, etc., and all the tips and tricks I had learned along the way. And then 3 days in, I set it down to grab a plate of food, and then it was gone. I lost it. I actually have a video um, that I recorded, I think, a few hours after it happened, walking around the streets of Anaheim, cloudy day, the most miserable I've ever felt in my entire life. Uh, if it is not inappropriate for the show, I will send it to you so that you can potentially use it, so you can see my initial reaction after that happened to me. But if you're going to jot down people's information, make sure that you actually remember it. Like, keep it somewhere that you won't lose it. Put it in um, your phone especially. After that, I was putting down everything in my phone because I knew that I was never going to lose my phone. Uh, but it was way easier to lose like a whole book that I couldn't fit in my pocket, you know? Uh, but I'm really glad that you brought up that tip about actually making sure that you write down people's information, because that's extremely important. Just making sure that you have people's names so that you're able to remember that sort of thing. Because if I didn't remember people's names, it would reflect badly on me as someone who's trying to form connections.
I mean, I really like. I mean, well, one your story. Hopefully, one of these days. Out of curiosity, did you like write your information at all in the first page? That's what I started doing with tiny notebooks.
Um, I think I wrote down my information, but I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up, instead of being found by someone and being contacted, that they just found it as litter and threw it in a trash can. Like the people who are regularly going around the convention and just cleaning up the spaces to make sure that they were presentable and in like a functional state, that like there wasn't too much clutter everywhere. Um, I don't really know what happened to that book, but I'm sure that whoever found it enjoys all of the tips and tricks that were in there that I learned from the Taco Bell PR manager at the time. I wish I still had those notes. Oh my god, he was so fascinating to talk to. I'm so mad I lost his information.
So a tip that I started doing, actually at Icon 2022, is so one of the last days we were speaking with my table was for my chapter was with the University of Florida, and so at the end, like we all exchanged phones and connected with each other on LinkedIn. Is that I started actually like as soon as I connected with people, I would screenshot it so I remember who I connected with and when, so that way they're just not like a contact at the bottom of my phone that like I actually know what I did, and then for writing things down in a physical journal is that when I'm done writing on a page, I'll take a picture of it with my phone. So that way I have a copy of it in case something happens to the actual physical writing.
Yes. I was able to remember some professionals' contact information because, in addition to writing down their information physically, I also made sure to go out of my way to send them a connection on LinkedIn as soon as possible. There were some people that I was able to look at my pending requests on LinkedIn and see their names and jot them down. And I'm glad that I was able to do that because one of them denied me at first. And if I hadn't had that information down, I would have never I would have never remembered what like their name was. So just take multiple notes if you can. Be sure that you have like some way of accessing that information. I'm glad that we can get in these good tips. Hopefully, maybe if we're sharing so much information about Icon, it would be good to get the episode in before Icon actually happens so that people can learn from these things. But if it goes up afterward, they can be future advice for 2026 Icon, whatever works.
I think it's always fun whenever you're able to have all of these lovely, tips and tricks. And especially because, I don't know, it's always a learning experience, with whatever you do. And so I'm glad that we're able to have experiences that are both different but also extremely similar. And hopefully, for our next times that we're able to attend conferences like this, that we're able to learn from those experiences.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I did want to ask, because I know you mentioned earlier that you participate in the PRSSA Bateman competition. I'd love to hear all about it.
Okay, so I was our team's social media manager, so I controlled all of the social media that was going out for our group. For those who are unfamiliar with what the topic was this year, we were working with a nonprofit organization called Every Library, which it's a nonpartisan group that just wants to protect the rights of libraries in the United States. So they fight for libraries on a state level, helping to get bills passed. They help libraries get funding. And we found it especially wild because this was in like the first moments of 2025 when there were a lot of attacks on books at the time. There were a lot of attacks on public services and the sort of help that they provide to people. We found when we were doing our research, we found that one of the biggest problems that people had with libraries was that they didn't know the extent of what libraries actually did for people. They assumed you go there and you check out books, and who is reading books anymore when you could just buy them online? You can get them shipped to your house. You can get them on a Kindle. What is the point of having a physical location to go check out a book, in 2025 of all places. But they're more than just that. We learned that, libraries provide testing resources for people who need to prepare for school exams. They have job finding resources. They have local book clubs which help like kids who don't have access to the sorts of materials that they would need to read to go out and read regularly with a group of people and discuss books together, which helps boost their their reading skills, their reading comprehension skills. We learned that there were libraries that we were going to in Reno that had sections where you could put out winter clothes for the homeless. There were food drives going on. There were fundraising opportunities going on. You could go out there to check out movies and CDs. I actually started listening to one of my new favorite bands, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, because I first found their album Fishing for Fishies at my local library while I was just going to check it out one day while I was bored. And I'm so glad that I did, because I had a CD player, I brought it home, and now they're one of my favorite bands in the world. Libraries are so important for the discovery of new art that you want to check out. I know a friend who goes there regularly to see if they have books that she's thinking about buying, so that she can read portions of them to see if she's interested in them before putting out money in order to buy them, etc. And in a way, they are integral parts of a community. And as I was discussing earlier, I love working along with a community. One of the biggest things that we incorporated into our campaign was we set up physical tabling events at, coffee shops and trivia nights at public markets. And we use that as an opportunity to reach out to people who are coming to a public space for an event or for a regular thing that they do, and talking to them about another part of their community. Like, are you aware of where your local public library is? Do you know what services they provide? Did you know that in Reno, we had just had a recent election, and in that election, we didn't renew one of the primary ways that we fund our libraries. So they were losing about, I don't remember the exact numbers because it's been a while, but they were losing a huge chunk of their funding, at least 25% of all the money that they get annually. A new library that they were building is now being paid for out of their own savings because they don't receive enough funding to continue its construction. We were speaking with librarians who were worried about if they were able to continue the sorts of programs that they provided. And it was interesting to see those problems on a community level. It was interesting to see those problems on a community level and ensure people that we were here to help. We were here to be a part of their growth. We were here to educate people on why they're important. One of the best things that we ever did was we established a new holiday in, maybe it was just on a local level, but we got signed off through some Congress people that we were able to meet for the local state legislature. And we were able to get the startup of March 3rd being Nevada Library Advocacy and Support Day, or Support and Advocacy Day. We kept messing up the title because it was so long. That's a future issue that we'll have to, warning for everyone who wants to start a new holiday, make sure it's a name that you can remember exactly. If there's any part in it that you'll get mixed around, it'll get very confusing very quickly. And then you'll have to redo a lot of banners. I think we actually had a banner that had the support and advocacy flipped around so that they were incorrect as to what the actual holiday was called. That was embarrassing. But when we got that signed off, we went to every single library with a framed copy of the declaration for it, and we handed it to all the libraries to show that, like, the Congress people are in your corner. the community is in your corner. It was so important to us that they should know that even if times are difficult for them, that they still have people that love them and rely on them and who treasure the services that they can provide. And we came 2 points short of national accreditation, which was so close. I wish we got pushed over the line. We had we had 3 judges who were outstanded with our work, and 1 judge who was upset that we did not have any, we didn't have a, I'm blanking on the name of it. It was some form. Maybe you'll be able to jog my memory. What are those? What's it called when you have like a story that you want to put out to a news agency? So you reach out with them with said form as like a, hey, would you be interested in covering this?
Oh,
Is it a public release or a
like a press release?
Press release? We did not have enough press releases, in his opinion. And also, he did not get why we were targeting conservative and nonpartisan voters when that was what the agency told us to target. So he didn't look into the... No disrespect to him. I'm sure that no disrespect to him, but like we had gone out like with an idea in mind of what the client wanted, and then it just didn't end up going the way that we wanted it to. And I'm sure that if maybe if we had another judge, things might have gone differently. But in the end, 80 out of 100 is pretty good. You know, I shouldn't be complaining about that. We did phenomenal, and I'm very happy for my team and all the work that they did, especially our account lead, who was working extra overtime to keep tons of people in check, making sure that we were doing constant communication with the people we were tabling with Congress people that we wanted to meet with. She did a phenomenal job. we had a lot of like difficulties in our campaign. If you don't mind me sharing one of them, one of the first difficulties I had on my end was I created an account on Instagram for our group, and within like a few hours before we went live, they flagged it as potential bot activity and removed it. And I couldn't get another another account set up in time, so we just didn't have an Instagram for the first few days of the campaign. And that sucks because that first few days is when you really want to be putting yourself out publicly. And if you're not on one of the most popular platforms like in the world so that you can start telling people about your campaign, no one's going to know, and you're going to be at a huge detriment. So people were reaching out to us. We were talking to people, and then we were like, where can I follow you? And then we had to go, are you on Facebook? And they would go, no, we're on Instagram. And then we had to go, well, we'll eventually be there. It was wild, but it gave me a good taste as for what working in an actual professional setting would be like. And I couldn't trade that experience for anything. I would highly encourage people to check out the Bateman competition. If it's something that they're interested in, it will be a ton of work. It will drive you near crazy, but it will be so rewarding in hindsight. And just like, do it if you're interested.
Well, I'm so glad that you were able to research libraries, find, more information. And although fortunately you were, the group was 2 points off of that national accreditation. I mean, congratulations nevertheless of getting that close.
Yes.
I mean, that's still tremendous.
So cool.
And even though you weren't able to get that accreditation, I do believe that, whether it relates to that or not, that you are a winner for an award, though.
Yes, I did win an award during my last year of university. I won the Reynolds School of Journalism's outstanding student in public relations. You can cut to me showing off the award in my video that I put on LinkedIn. I was extremely honored to win it. I had no idea that I was going to win it. They kept it a secret from me the entire time. And in the build up to it, I kept pointing at other people I went to class with and going like, she's talking about you, right? Like, it has to be you. You've done so much for us. And then they mentioned that the recipient used to be in mechanical engineering, and my jaw hit the floor. I didn't think I was even capable of winning something like that. And I especially, in hindsight, feel like there are so many other people who deserved it more than I did, especially people who are already in the field and practicing and doing the sort of things that, you know, any good student like could be or should be doing right now. They went out with a plan. They knew people ahead of time. They got positions super easily, and they're out there making a killing. And I'm so happy for them. And it makes me feel so weird to continue sitting at home being unemployed with my outstanding student in public relations award. Like, why aren't they winning it? We should all be outstanding students in public relations. They all did fantastic.
Well, nevertheless, keep going.
And I think that sort of sentiment might be like very I'm tearing myself down a little bit. I know that I did good things, and I know that everyone else also did good things. I think there were maybe there might have been like 10 or 11 other students who were all up for that award, and I was equally confident that every single one of them would win it because they were all so talented. Everyone I go to school with is so talented. And I have to keep prefacing that because I have to know that in case any of them are watching, I have to make sure that they know that I love them and I treasure them immensely and that they're all talented people and I miss them a lot, especially since I moved away back to Las Vegas. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I could be recognized for, you know, the effort that I've been putting in, and I'm glad that I can make the people who came before me proud, the people who believed in me. That will always be worth like more than any award. It's just being able to know that I did right in some person's eyes who believed in me.
I absolutely love that sentiment, and I'm so glad. I mean that. Well, one, as I've mentioned earlier, that you're thanking those who have helped you out, that you've been classmates with, that you've worked with, and I mean, I think that really does. I know that it really does. Yeah, make a difference, and I'm sure for those tuning in that know you are going to be thankful that you were able to to recognize them and their work. But of course, don't sell yourself short with your your own work that you've put in.
Thank you. Shout out to everyone at the RSJ. We're all doing great.
Well, and even as I continue to hear about your story, I'm just so glad that you've been able to be multifaceted. And even though you may have gotten involved a little bit later, you still made quite a lot of work and effort within a relatively short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, you're kind of forced to because you know that this is the only opportunity that you're going to get. When I was at Icon and I was surrounded by all these professionals, I knew that I had to really lock in and make sure that I was speaking to as many people as possible, getting as much contact information as I could, reaching out to as many people as I could, because this was my first and only opportunity that I've had to speak to people who are in the industry and being able to get my foot in the door in the stuff that I really wanted to do for a living. And I made a lot of progress by doing that. And I wonder how much other progress I could have made if I had gone for multiple years. But I took any opportunity I could to speak to people. I was one of the I remember there was I'm blanking on his name and I feel bad for it. I think it was Geo something. He was the co-anchor for a really popular news team. He came to speak to all the students and talk about his experiences growing up and like growing into the professional that he is now. He showed us like a really bad mistake that he made when he was doing news reporting in Miami. But I was able to talk to him and ask him, as part of his job, he has to go around and talk to people from all different facets of life, people in different countries, coming together for different occasions, reporting on disasters as well as. I am glad too. I I wish I had said my school before it because everyone else was saying their school before it. But I think right before I came on, they were like, make sure your speeches are short. And then I cut it out by saying, like, I won't mention my university because I don't want to waste your time or whatever. But I think in the time it took me to say that, I probably could have just said my university. I was wasting time anyway. um, but yeah, it's just like to all the kids going to Icon. I say kids. They're adults. You're in college. They're adults. To all the young professionals going to Icon, make the most of it. It will be one of the best experiences you ever have. You will make some great friends there. You will make some great memories there. Seek out what the locals want to do, where the locals eat, because those will be some of your favorite places to go to. I remember walking to downtown Disney a few times because it's free to enter and just existing in that space. I had a huge corn dog. I think there's a photo of it on my LinkedIn somewhere from my trip report of me staring at this huge corn dog I got. I wish I was eating one of those right now. But yeah, it's just a fantastic opportunity. So be sure to do it if you can.
I absolutely love, everything that we've had a chance to speak about in this conversation. And it really has been so enjoyable. And I did want to ask in some of the remaining time that we have. So how has your day-to-day been, ever since graduating? And what would you say are your pitch to employers? I know that you've made a really enjoyable video on LinkedIn that you shared a few months ago. So are you able to speak a little bit about that in the few minutes that we have left?
So I remember what inspired me to make that video in the first place is that I had applied to a job at one of the huge casinos that's in Vegas. They were looking for a new PR professional. And they just sort of like denied me. No interview, no nothing. I won't name names, because I don't want to trash anyone who, any potential employers, but maintaining good relations is key. And I remember feeling so cheated by that, because there's only so much in this current like job opportunity in the current job market. The only way that you can reach out to people, it seems, is through LinkedIn, Indeed, or like the websites of companies that you want to apply to. And there's not a good way of getting an impression of someone until you meet with them face to face and have a conversation with them. And I remember being like applying for this position, feeling confident that I might get it, and then just being told, oh, we already have someone for the job, but thank you for applying. We hope that you continue doing business at our establishments. And I was like, that feels unfair. So I figured that instead of just reaching out to people and hoping that they choose to see me in response, that I would make the first step and just make employers see me for who I am. So I got down a bunch of boxes I could stand my cell phone on top of. And then I went to different parts of my house and just started talking about myself, my accomplishments, what I've done, my experiences, what I'm interested in doing, my own experiences, and then some jokey things like I drink a ton of soda and I want to put my sugar high energy into making content for you. I can talk about my cats in the workplace and show you photos of them. It was a blend of, I thought, that spoke well of me as being a good professional, but also being someone who's fun to be around, who's and also just being desperate to do any sort of work. I will go out into the sun for you. I will I will do whatever you need me to do. Please hire me. I'm not doing anything. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Um, it took me maybe 5 hours to throw that together. We're filming it, editing it together on Canva, reaching out to my mentors for approval, and then uploading it and seeing the response. And I did end up getting a lot of people who were interested in it, but mostly in a, wow, I love this. And then I would say, like, do you love it enough to hire me? And then they would go, no, but we love it. um, I did end up getting one offer for an unpaid internship, but they went for someone who is even more qualified than I was, which is wild to me. It made me scared that maybe there are so many people who are struggling to get jobs right now that anyone is willing to get an unpaid internship, even if they have like vastly different levels of experience. But, you know, my life has just sort of been trying to do what I can to present myself in a professional manner, reaching out to people when I can, trying to network, talking to people about opportunities that they have. I know that I think I just got a confirmation for another unpaid internship. So now I can finally start getting experience again in the public relations field. Thank God. um, but yeah, it's just, it's trying to make the most of what you can do. I don't think I'm going to end up in a paid position even with the experience that I have now, but as long as I'm actively practicing my PR skills, my video editing skills, my writing skills, being able to put myself out there and telling people that I am available, I want to make a difference in whatever, you know, in whatever agency you have, in whatever business you have. I want to be there to help it grow into its best self. Uh, that's really all I can do. And I feel like it's been working, well. I know that over the summer, I really wanted to start making money so that I could save for a move. Because as much as I love Las Vegas, I do really love the theme park industry and I would love to be closer to it. And I wanted to move, somewhere out east, maybe to Pennsylvania, Ohio, Minnesota, I know has Valley Fair. I could end up in Virginia. I could do, there's so many like small parks on the East Coast that are all trying to fight for that community spirit. They want to be reaching out to people who hold special memories with these places and bring in new people to come there regularly, to make new memories there, to have fun. And I want to be a part of that. And as much as I love my hometown, I don't think there's a way I can do that here. But I mean, if you live in a city with a big amusement park near you, I will happily move there for you if you have an open spot and want to take a chance on a fresh young graduate from Nevada. um, hit me up, Charlie Sackmar on LinkedIn.
I absolutely love, your sentiments, and I'm so glad that, we're able to connect to speak here. And I truly hope that, yeah, if it hasn't happened by the time that this releases, that someone tunes into, your video on LinkedIn, to one of your applications, or even this discussion here, and says, "Hey, I want Charlie to work for me." So yeah. I'm wishing you the absolute best with that.
Thank you so much for that sentiment, really, because it's been a joy coming on to talk with you and just gush about my passions and what I think makes PR such an interesting field and why it's held so much emotional weight for me as I've gotten, older and wiser. And I thank you for giving me that opportunity to come on here and just talk about, what makes this field special, what makes, me special in a way. And yeah, you're a phenomenal host. Thank you so much for reaching out to me.
And thank you so much for coming on. I know that you had done your research a little bit ahead of time, and so I'm just so glad we finally had a chance to connect.
Me too.
I know you already told Okay.
We should try to keep in touch after this, like just in case.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, we will definitely keep in touch. And I know you already told everyone about your LinkedIn, but I did want to say, what does it mean for you to be a guest here, on the show? I know you just spoke a little bit to that. And I know you were a bit nervous coming in as well. How did that all feel, here now?
I mean, I had never been on a podcast before. I was curious about how it would work, and I thought it would be very hard to find something to talk about. But judging by the fact that we've been speaking for, over an hour now, clearly that hasn't been the case. I have plenty to ramble on about to whoever's worth to whoever is willing to listen. But I feel really happy with what we've been able to do, and I'm glad that I've been able to have this experience, and especially just share in the joy of all the people who came before me and believed in me, and all the people who will come after me to do excellent things, just the best that they can possibly do.
I love that. And I did want to ask the final two questions for you, and I'll go ahead and say them both. If you had to name this discussion, what would you call this discussion that we just had? And then what would you want to leave out this episode with?
That's really hard. Oh my gosh. I feel like there's a lot of things we talked about where there's not really a certifiable one thing that could encompass it. Maybe the power of passion or something cheesy and dumb like that. Um, I definitely know that one of the only reasons I'm still here is because I cared enough to keep going, because I cared enough about my own silly little interests to form genuine bonds with people. Um, there is a lot of power in being knowledgeable about something, about being yourself, about fully embracing the things that you find interesting. And if I had to leave this video off with one last sentiment, I would say never be afraid to chase something wild. There are innumerable places that PR can take you. I definitely know that going into this, I was maybe thinking about, like, as soon as I went into journalism, I was thinking of being like a columnist about writing theme park reviews, maybe starting a YouTube channel or something. But now that I'm here, 5 years after I started college, I sort of learned that the best thing I ever did was just chase whatever made me happy, and to be told that I was doing something right by chasing those passions meant more to me than anything else. So I want to be the person that tells it to you that if you love something and you set your mind on it, you will be rewarded with all the happiness in the world. I know that there's a bit of stigma where if you take something that you love and you turn it into that, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. But there's also the sentiment of if you turn something that you love into work, you'll come to hate it. But I mean, I feel like there's a degree of separation between loving theme parks and going to visit them and actually talking to people about why I love them. They're two separate things, and I can enjoy both of them equally because they require different, mindsets of me. When I'm going to a theme park, I have like a very I'm here to chill, relax, have fun, unless I am specifically trying to ride everything that I can, in which case it is hectic and stressful. But if I'm just like sitting back with friends and I want to share how much I really enjoyed, going to Kings Island and riding my first Giga coaster with Orion, I will happily talk about that because it's an entirely different thing of like, you know, the skills used in discussion in trying to tell people why you love something is different than, you know, actually participating in it. So I think that's what makes public relations such a special field. You can love something, you can talk about why you love it, and you can continue to love it in your spare time. It won't, I don't think it'll tarnish your enjoyment of it at all. If anything, it might even reinforce why you love it in the first place, because it will remind you every time you want to speak of it how, like, what facets of it you enjoy and why you enjoy doing it now. And you can share that sort of love with whoever is willing to listen. Is that anything? Did I do good?
Oh, you did amazing. I absolutely love your sentiment, and I don't think I could top that off. So I'm just going to go ahead and end out this episode. For those tuning in, thank you so much, as always, for tuning into this episode of the Tansson Talks show. I always love doing this and being able to help tell these important stories. Charlie, it's been absolutely amazing to speak with you. I know we'll keep in touch. And for those tuning in, I'll see you next week. Take care, friends.
Bye-bye.